Hey everyone, welcome to our weekly automation training here in Processes Made Simple. If we haven't met yet, my name is Chris, and I am the marketing mischief maker here at Black Sheep Global. Today, we're diving into a tool that has really just been getting a lot of buzz lately, especially at the PM Systems Con last week. And that tool is Notion. That's why you are all here. And if you've ever opened Notion and thought, what the heck is this? What am I supposed to do with this blank page? This is super confusing and stressful. You're not alone. That's exactly why we're doing this session. We got Mike, our fearless automation Zapier software expert on all the things, here with us today. And he's going to walk us through an intro to Notion today to make sure that we all get started on the right path so you can actually use Notion effectively. Now, this is the first in a series of Notion focused Friday calls that we're going to be doing throughout the month of February. So if you're curious about how to make this tool work for your PM business, you're in the right place. Mike, let's take it away. I'm so excited to see what you have for us today.
Hey everyone, thanks for that intro, Chris. Super excited to have you guys all here. So a little bit of a background, Notion's been getting a lot of hype over the last couple of years in relation to how you can build kind of the bigger working on the business type of organizational structure, specifically in like human resources and policies. But it's really such a flexible tool that it's able to impact pretty much anything you really want to do. So we're kind of thinking we are using Notion heavily internally for our business, and we want to share some of those tips and tricks that we've learned with you guys. So we're going to be doing a 4 or 5 part series. We'll see how long this goes, but for the month of February, we're going to really be discussing everything Notion related, how to use it, how to make it effective, and I really want you guys to walk away with some action items on I'm going to use Notion for this. So you guys are going to see my personal Notion that I'm using for myself, just for how I effectively or loosely keep track of what I want to do with my hobbies day to day. So you can really see that it's tied to anything you really want to do because it's such a big sandbox. So, what is Notion? If you guys have ever thought about what would happen if like Excel and or like your spreadsheets and a Google document had a baby, that's basically what Notion would be. So what we used to do is work with the Google Suite to effectively run our meetings and run kind of our structure, and try to use Google Sheets to basically build out our KPIs and handle all of the slew of spreadsheets that we need to operate. That's always been a big kind of issue of having to go from one place to another, because you build your document, right? And then you add your link of your Google Sheet, you click on it, and it takes you somewhere else, and now you're open like 5, 6 different tabs, and nothing's really communicating with each other. So Notion really came out and said, how can we make everything talk to each other, and we can visibly see how things are connecting? And a lot of that sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo, but when we get into it, you guys are going to see what happens. And we're going to go through some really simple things here. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to walk through Notion a bit. And here's Notion. And honestly, ignoring this part, this is what it's going to look like for the most part when you first get into it. You're going to have a couple of templates that come in. But if we think of Notion, Notion is essentially two things: databases and pages. And databases are your spreadsheets, and pages are your Google Docs. And they work interchangeably with each other. There we go. I was hoping for that. There's balloons. They work interchangeably with each other. But if you think of my pages are how I can make a Word document or a Google Doc, and my database basically my spreadsheet. That's the quickest and simplest way to kind of to understand this. So what we're looking at right now is a page, right? We have our header and we have our text. So I can get as simple as I want with Notion to just write something down. So let's say I want to make a quick journal entry, right? So journal entry 1, I'm teaching a Notion class. A lot of AI note takers are in here. I hope people actually use their note taker to review this call and don't just let it go to the abyss, right? Everyone has their note taker. I hope you guys are actually using it.
Amen.
So we have our journal entry one, and I could keep it as simple as that and then just start adding pages to it. When we start really seeing kind of the powerhouse of it is when we get into our databases. So Notion has a very effective function where you can put anything you want in this document of sorts. And it all starts from pressing your forward slash. And then you get this huge list of a whole bunch of ridiculous things. And going into this makes me dizzy. I don't know half of the stuff that's in here yet because I don't want to. That's a lot. That's a ridiculous. Look at this. I'm not done. I'm still not done. I could go on forever. Well, I guess not. I have a little bit at the end. But really what I want to focus on is one thing, and it's called the database. So I'm going to type in database so I can start getting my search here, right? And I should be able to find table view. So I'm adding a table or a new existing data, new database. I'm adding a spreadsheet within my page. So I'm gonna click on that, and I'm greeted with kind of a spreadsheet right here. We have one tab, and then we don't have any other tabs. I'm going to go ahead and add a tab. So if I'm adding a tab, we consider that a column, right? So I'm going to go ahead and make this table, and I'm going to call it, let's say, what do we want to do? I'm going to call it recipes. I'm going to build a database for effectively all of my cooking recipes. I'm going to call this here. I'm going to rename my first column recipe itself. I'm going to add a new table and a new column. And what I want to do, maybe I want to start creating categories for it. So I want to multi-select. Here's where you're greeted with a bunch of different types of categories you can set your columns in. Again, this can be a big list. It can be a big hefty. So we're really going to use kind of the top four to get us a little bit of kind of flavor into what our table looks like. So I'm going to add a couple of columns here. I'm going to call it multi-select. And what I'm going to add in here is basically I want to be able to tag the recipes in a certain function. And I'm going to say, well, I want to tag it by type of meal, right? And I'm going to add a couple options to it. I'm going to say it's a vegetarian. I'm going to also say maybe I want meat lovers. Let's say a vegan plate. What else can I do? Baked goods. Pescatarians, right? Maybe I have to do fish. Now I basically added a second column. Let's go ahead and add a third one. And what I want to do is then I want to select maybe the status of recipe, where I'm going to add a status here, where I'm going to say, actually, wait, we actually have a status page here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to use the status start here, where it's not documented, right? Maybe I just have something in here. In progress, yeah, let's keep that one there, and recipe finalized, right? So I've got these four categories here, and now I'm greeted with a spreadsheet. The interesting thing about this, and what I mentioned early on, is pages and databases work interchangeably. Everything that you get in this table is effectively a page. So if you see here, I'm greeted with the ability to add new pages. So you can kind of like do a nesting of a nesting of a nesting, and it can kind of go on to infinity. You can build a table which has pages into it. Inside those pages are inside that table, you click on any page, you can add another table into it, and it could go on to infinity, basically allowing you to build a sub network of information or structure that you guys want to set up. So in this case, I'm going to add a new page for recipe, and I want to say I'm going to do a pizza recipe, right? And now that I'm thinking about this, I actually want to add another thing and some suggested stuff here, which is really cool, right? Prep time, cooking time, servings. I want more categories for this: cuisine type, dietary restrictions. Notion is really good at helping you identify, oh, it looks like you're trying to use this table for a certain thing. Here are some things that you may want to do for yourself. In this case, I'm going to use an AI summary because we're going to talk a lot about AI with Notion in the next coming calls. But we're going to fill this out here. Auto update on page edits. Yes, we do. Oops, we don't have Notion enabled. We'll leave that for later. But yeah, you can set up an AI summary effectively. So when I actually go and open this page, and you guys are going to see it looks exactly like a new page. This is effectively another page. I'm able to then eventually, once I fill this in, once I run this information here, it's going to give me a summary of what this page looks like. And as I mentioned, I can also do another database, another view, and I can add another page, and I can get really ridiculous with it, to the point where I won't be able to find anything. But the whole point of this is when we think about how to structure Notion, we should always think database first, right? If you think about how you organize like a file cabinet, you have your file cabinet, you have your files. Those are your you have your cabinets, and inside each cabinet you have files that represent a certain category. And inside those files you have inside those folders you have the specific files you want to use, right? So you always start with the biggest things first, and databases are effectively the biggest things first, because then you get to structure and organize a filing system of everything that you want to find. That's the best way because you can really interact with a specific page and how you want to enter this information in there. So let's talk about a pizza recipe, right? I'm just going to write a quick couple of things. So I'm just going to do a header here, ingredients, and really an ingredient, we'll set this up for a pizza. I don't think I've ever made a pizza before, so I'm going to wing this. Pizza would be, I'm guessing, we need flour, we need pepperonis, right? We need cheese. We need flour makes bread, so water, eggs, right? And I can basically build out this quick little pizza recipe. And I'll say I'm kind of done with this, right? I definitely don't want to build an entire pizza. How to build a pizza here? I'm the worst pizza maker here, so I want to kind of fill this out. But now we've made a page that represents a pizza recipe that I can go in here in my recipes view. As I start adding more and more pages for more and more recipes, I'm going to say this has been documented, and I'm going to change the status of the recipe. Oops. Select an option or create one. Did I do a stat? Oh, right. This is one that we did not use. So we can always delete properties. Type of meal. I'm going to say it's what is type of meal? Pizza. Because I may want to do different types of pizza. So pizza, it's a baked goods, multiple categories here. And now I have it. AI summary, with it, right? Recipe finalized for pizza requiring flour, pepperonis, cheese, water, and eggs, right? As we get more detailed, I can have that summary expand. Let's say I'm going to add, like a garlic salmon, add, I don't know, I make um, white frosted cupcakes. I don't know why I'm so into baked goods. I've never baked a day in my life, but they're here. And as we start kind of building our database, that's what it basically is. I will eventually have a huge list, and I'll show you what it looks on a little bit on the business side. I will have a huge list of, let's see, which one did we show? Let's just do the meetings. I have a huge list of all the pages. So this is what a more fleshed out and more historically documented database looks like. As you see this is a page. You guys saw the simple one with pizza. You guys saw a little bit of the tags or properties that we have here. And then this is a database. And this database is housing pages for all of our leadership meetings. And in that leadership meeting, it's a page. And inside that leadership meeting is another database, right? And I can call databases out from other places. In this case, we're doing marketing scorecards and operational scorecards, and I'm running them from a database. And I get to map them into this leadership level 10 meeting. I also have our to-dos here and our issues that we want to solve. And you guys are taking a big peek at a lot of our internal stuff. So hopefully Ben's not here to yell at me or somewhere. But yeah, once we dive into this, you see this is a long running history of who went into our meeting, all the pages that we get to look at, the type of meeting, they're all categorized. And why does that matter? Why the heck do I care about that? Because if I need to look for something, I can filter out by the type of meeting. Let's take a look at that. Where is our type, and I really only want to look at our leadership meetings over the last couple of weeks. Now I have a view of everything that we've documented and done in our meetings over the last couple of weeks, everything that was kind of set in stone. And I was like, hey, we had a really important conversation sometime like early September. I'm going to go look at these. And if I had an AI summary tab, we could definitely get a more detailed view of this. But I'm going to look at this in September and see what the heck did we do, right? We're able to look at our to-dos that we'd set up that week, which is a lot, right? These are kind of long-standing for the month. We're able to look at the issues that we walked through and discussed. We're able to see our ratings. And the cool thing is, like everything, it's not set in stone. So as we've worked through this, our meetings have been refining a little by little. So as you see, they get a little bit more emoji-ish, a little bit more databases show up. But yeah, so we just walked through a big chunk of this. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you my personal database, a little bit of how I'm utilizing it. And I want you guys to think about the hobbies or the things that you guys do, something that's like really kind of your niche, right? If you're a chef, if you're a photographer, if you do like a book club or anything, I want you guys to think about how can I use this seamlessly endless tool and narrow it down to get a really simple piece of information that I can now take advantage of and start organizing this little corner of my life. So I'm going to show you guys my Notion. My Notion is a lot simpler than Black Sheep Global's because just I don't take care of it too much, and I try. It's just really hard to kind of keep organized, as I'm sure most people here would resonate with that a little bit. But one of the things I like to do is I like to do a Bible study, right? So in my Bible study, and I'll try to take it too preachy in here, but in my Bible study, essentially, I have different things that I want to track. I want to take the notes that I have while I'm reading the Bible, right? A specific section that kind of called out to me. I have a couple of questions that I have regarding some passages that I want to take down. And each one of these is effectively a different table. So if I go to my questions tab, I have here a table that I've set up with several pieces of information regarding the questions that I'm asking, what kind of category I'm focusing on, this question is focused on, and if I found the answer to it. And then I know that if there's something in there, I've effectively answered it and I can reference it later. Something else that I can do here is, again, my Bible notes, your book notes, in a more general view, right? Maybe you're reading Lord of the Rings and you want to like be really, really laser focused in on the characters and their development, and you want to build kind of a library for your favorite character and like moments in that book that you're in, that's the trilogy that you're really focused on. Or broader speaking, you're doing like you're doing like the business development books and you want to document and build a library of that. This is effectively how you can use Notion at a personal level to, I want to take notes about a specific thing here. And I have categories for it that were labeled from the database I created. And then I get to write down questions for it and and my thoughts on it. So if I ever need to go, hey, I had a conversation with a guy about Star Wars, and we were talking about, and I'm in the Star Wars club, and we were talking about this stuff about who really had the higher ground in the end and at the end of Revenge of the Sith. And I remember I had a big conversation personally about that, and I documented this entire thing, and I went rambling. I can go look at this and now talk to my friend about it because I have the information here. So
Hey,
yeah.
hi.
Hi.
This is Astria. I have a question. So in this case, would you create first, like the page or the information for, say, for Salvation or Galatians, and then you would pull it over here? How would you grab it to put it here, or do you do it the other way? You first create this tag, and then you create the content.
Perfect question. Love it. I would first create a page. So if I'm looking at here, when you guys make your own Notion, you guys should be greeted with like your home base and a couple of things. I would first create a page, which would be like my biggest category, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This page would be, everything related to science fiction books, right?
Okay.
Under here, I would potentially then have several like sub pages, right? Or several categories. But if where I would say, you know, let's see, Star Wars trilogy, Lord of the Rings, right? And I would actually change these to pages. So I would get page. Oops. Yeah.
Oh,
I would forward, make a page, right? And I would call it Star Wars, right? Now I have basically a page embedded within that. And in
how
that,
did you create the page? I didn't see that.
yeah, great question. Sorry about that. I went a little bit too fast.
No.
Forward slash opens up all the options for Notion. So it's
Oh,
one, and
okay.
then basically you can start highlighting in like, well, what I want to do. And really for this section, there's a lot of digging around you can do, but the only two you should really focus on are databases, right?
Okay.
And pages. Those are the only really
Oh,
two things you should focus on early on when you guys are doing your forward slashes.
awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So once I clicked into Star Wars, again, I'm going to do a forward slash, and in this case, now I'm going to do a database, right? And now I've created this. I want to do one, and I'm going to call it Star Wars topics, right?
Okay.
And now here's where I can build as many properties as I want, and you can get really crazy with it. In my experience, the crazier you get, the better, because the more you can fine tune your categories and everything you want to look at, the easier it is for you to search it. And as we get more into Notion, searching stuff in Notion, the more organized you are, makes Notion AI incredibly powerful. When we talk about business related things, and it's still the same, it impacts personal stuff. When we talk about business related things, Notion can be a huge library of policies and how to's that your business is generally just kind of filling out. So if I had this related to policies and I started adding like an infinite number of pages for every policy, you know, how do I deal with Section 8? How do I deal with a broker who's interested in working with us? How do I do investment category? How do I handle an owner that wants to acquire 30 new properties? And I start building the policies around that with like the pages within that. When I have a team member that needs information, I can use AI to help me out with that. You know, what do I have on Galatians, for example? AI can basically tell me, here's what I have on Galatians. I can go ahead and find it. It can also summarize for me on the focuses that those documentations have had. So if I asked AI, if I had a base of policies like, hey, what's our vacation policy? You know, and we had that documented, I can effectively have AI give it to me in a really easy to read format. So I don't have to go and dig into this infinite database that I'm going to get really lost in. And if anyone's ever used Slack or Google Docs or their G Suite or their Dropbox to try to store their papers, you know how incredibly frustrating it is to remember where you put that document regarding a specific thing and then having to go search for it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. So homework to take away from you for you guys as we start diving into this is think of something. It can be business related, right? I'm not going to hold you to it. I'm not going to check your homework. But do something that you guys are really focused on. It's like I want to build I want to build a spreadsheet because this is effectively a spreadsheet that's going to track my, how many miles or what's my health look like today, how many miles did I run. We have a running fanatic here. Caitlin is one of our team members who loves to run, and she could build a database of like how many miles did I run today, what was the distance, what was my route, and she could store that and then look back in and see what her progress looks like, and get that in there. We have Chris, we're currently developing the marketing processes for. A lot of this can go in Notion for policies. You know, how do we upload a podcast? What is the software we use when we're doing podcasts? How do we get Benjamin more speaking opportunities and policies around that and organizing what speaking opportunities do we have? This is a sandbox. This is as a white paper canvas as you can get. You can paint it a million different colors. And throughout the month, we're going to be talking about how, some of those colors, but I will get to like 2% of what Notion can do. And hopefully that'll be enough to get you guys poking around it. Because I know everyone here, if they're on this call, they're all about systems and automation. So you guys are nerds in the right place. All right. Happy to take some early questions on with the time we have left. Where's our chat so I can see it?
Is there a way to, for example, if you already have a spreadsheet with a lot of information that you would like to pass here, like to put it in Notion, is there a way to like pull all that information in a simpler way than just going in and type each thing again?
Great question. You are able to import. I have not used the functionality, so I don't know how effective it is, but you are able to import CSVs into Notion. You're actually able to even directly embed them. So if it's something you still want to work, you can actually go in, oh, sorry, embed. Let's talk about that. I'm going to use the embed function here, and I'm going to paste a spreadsheet that I have somewhere. Let me go find it real quick. Spreadsheet, give me one spreadsheet. Yeah, sure, this one. I have no idea what this says, but yeah. So I'm going to embed the spreadsheet link. And I can actually store this information on my page. Oh. I don't think I have access to it, and that's why. I don't have access to the spreadsheet. So let me change the permissions. Let me refresh this. Oops. Let's do another one. So I'm going to type embed. We're going to embed that. Ah, I love it when things don't work for me. Add previews of files. All right, let's try that. Okay, well, you can embed this stuff. I'll have to dig into that and discuss how we can embed and actually show the information within Notion, which you can.
Huh?
But for this case, what we can do here, let's see if we can find the, let me go into our company one because Notion is free for one user, so you can use Notion as you'd like on a personal level. And that's what I've been using here, but we can somewhere here, I think it's here. Yeah, we can import information here. And it'll tell us what we want to do, what we want to import, how we want to import it, and it'll give you the kind of the settings of like, well, what does this column do? Should it be a property column? Should it be a multi-select column? And so on and so forth. But yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, I'll look into that.
Yeah.
Thank
Great
you.
question.
Hey, Mike, we had a couple other questions. We have one question. With the running tracker idea, is Notion capable of creating graphs or other visuals in order to show progress?
Yes, it is. So if we look at our tables here, we are able to build different types of tables. Let's see. We are able to, this is my personal Notion here for our team. I am able to look at different views. So I'm able to create this table effectively and then decide how I want to look at it. So let's see if I can build a view here very quickly. I'm going to link an existing database. I'm going to use our to-dos. And as you can see here, I can create graphs. I can create line graphs to see like our progress of like who's had tasks assigned. And then there's a huge slew of things I can make edits to filter and organize the information here. So yeah, it has a good graphing capabilities. It also integrates with Power BI to my understanding, which is getting a lot of popularity. So if you guys are looking at Power BI to populate and visualize data, you are able to embed this stuff in Notion and even integrate and pull some information out. To my knowledge, take that with a grain of salt. Great question. We have, is there an AI note taker that would enter that in Notion? Great question. So we're using Fathom, and here's a really cool thing about Fathom. Fathom has a lot of good Zapier integrations, and Notion integrate with Zapier. I'm going to show you guys a little bit on our center here. And so these are our clients, which again, I hope Ben's on here. But one of the things that we can do with our clients is I can store our last week's meeting information. And I store this in a very unique fashion that Fathom lets me store it in, but visually representative. You can change, Fathom allows you to store information in any way you'd like. And I use it this way because I have this populating into Slack. So I have a really obnoxiously complicated automation that I'm pretty sure I could simplify, but I'm not digging into that. But what it effectively does is I can have Fathom go into Notion and store a meeting, and you can do a whole bunch of things with that. I specifically have it to store meetings with our clients, so I can populate that in other places, our Lead Simple, weekly tracker, and our Slack. But yeah, great question.
Right, thanks.
With the running track, yeah, we are looking at visuals. Assuming we can import documents to Google Drive, we already have. Yes, we can. All great questions. All right. Well, guys, it was Chris, anything else we want to walk through or?
No, that was a great call, Mike. Thank you for breaking down Notion for us and helping us get started. I'm sure that people will have other questions. So if you want, you will be able to watch this recording. We're gonna post it in the group soon. Mike, do you have any other final things you want to say?
Yeah, well, next week we're going to dive a little bit more onto the business side of Notion specifically and talk a bit some about Notion's native automations, right? So if you guys build your first database, you will be able to talk about next week how to create templates. And so you can create automations to basically populate those templates. You'll learn a little bit about how we use Notion with EOS to populate our weekly level 10 meetings. If you guys haven't heard about EOS, highly recommend you take a look into it. It's a very effective business operating solution. And so you're just going to get a little bit of the inner workings on how we do that and maybe take some ideas from there. So definitely looking forward to seeing you guys next week regarding that.